This regular meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:05. We'll start with the pledge, so if you'll join me. Flags to this side. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so to start, I'm just gonna let everybody know who's here in the room and who's on screen. Dave Olson, you're gonna need to keep your you're gonna keep yourself muted because we're getting feedback every time you turn it on again. You got to keep yourself muted, Dave. There's lots of feedback.
Okay, right now the microphone's on, and I'm going to turn it off now. On.
Yes.
Turn it off now.
You're going to turn it off. Good. When you want to come on, just turn it on. That's fine. All right. So here, because we have lots of new people and we're going to get some more new people coming in. I'm Nancy Ryan. I'm currently the chair. Roger Young's joining us. He's here for the first time. Newly appointed. Dave Resendis over here. Jeff Baklemba. He's second meeting. Tom Cardillo's up on the screen. This is his first official meeting. He joined us before he was appointed and sworn in. Dave Olson, he's on the screen too. And Tyler Stevens is a facilities manager for Board of Ed for our schools. Jen Variel, our business manager for schools. And Rick Davido is our STV owner's rep. He's the phone number. And then Kathy Galvis, who's there, but she doesn't own that screen, but she's our recording secretary and is always keeping us up to date on lots of things because she also works here at the Municipal Center. And then Darius is a member of the public, but he might be, maybe we'll get him to join us. We'll see. All right, so that's everybody. And as I said, so I'll just give you a quick, we don't have public, so I'm sure no public input, no correspondence. Before we get started on the rest of our agenda, at recent Board of Ed meetings, Tom was appointed, he got sworn in, so he's good to go. And then Roger was appointed last week. He's been sworn in. He's filling, I think, John Perna's spot. And then Dave Olson was appointed to take John Mente's place because he has to be a D. So then there's still my seat and somebody else's that has to be filled with, Dave Olson's official, that seat. It could be anybody and mine could be anybody, but John Mente's has to be a D. So that's what's going on. If you know of anybody that might be interested, has some background that could help. Background's not essentially necessary, but can be helpful. Let us know. We can get them in touch with the Board of Selectmen. Usually what happens is for different positions, even all appointed boards and commissions, the Democratic Town Committee and the Republican Town Committee will put forward names to the Board of Selectmen. Dan spent some time vetting the people, then they get appointed or not. So like I said, we need 2 more people. That would be great. The other thing we have to do soon, and we'll figure out whether we want to do it now or when there's a full board, is appoint officers. So the board or the commission, we're a commission, elects chair, vice chair, and a secretary, which is not what Kathy does. Kathy's a recording secretary, and that's like an official position within the town. So usually you just elect someone secretary and they don't do much, but it's in the charter. And so I do minutes sometimes when Kathy's not here and no one else can take over because they're not available, but so that's that. As we go on and we get more new people, we'll do some more talking about basically meetings are run according to Robert's rules and meetings are held according to our town charter. So there's specific things like public input, We generally don't get a lot of public, but we do occasionally, that have to be a part of the meeting. And it's a public meeting. Anybody can come, but we don't speak back and forth. We don't speak. It's not a debate. It's not an open, just say whatever you want, whenever you want. We stick to an agenda, and we can add, we as a commission can add agenda items and take agenda items off. So we did the pledge, public input, correspondence. Kathy always sends out the agendas and the minutes for the prior meeting prior to the next meeting. So the next on our agenda is approval of meeting minutes. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 22nd, 2025. And I need a
I
second.
second.
So Dave seconds. Roger did too, but
Okay.
so now you read the minutes. If anybody has anything about the minutes that they need verified, clarified, added to, subtracted, something wasn't right, whatever, this is the time you'd want to make those corrections. Most of the time Kathy's good about it, but never know. Sometimes there's a typo,
Most
right?
of the time, Kathy. geez.
Well, sometimes there's a typo. I've done that. I put the wrong date in.
Last meeting, last meeting, the school called you out on something, right?
Yeah,
I know.
I just have one question.
Sure.
So for the high school HVAC, it talks about an abatement now. Is that a special abatement or is that a different type of abatement?
so it's a little bit of everything. but
Okay.
Yeah, whatever needs to be abated. And that's part of the contractor Save More, their responsibility for that.
Right.
That their responsibility to get somebody to come in and do the abatement and then do the monitoring and the testing afterwards. And
That's
is
third
it-
party, right?
Yeah.
This one, yeah.
Yeah,
Now, do we check? I used to monitor that.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of, so, does somebody check that they all have the licenses, the training?
yeah.
Is it up to the contractor?
Yeah.
Do we audit them or do we?
no, we don't, we're not, that's
Right.
other members of the team. So STV sometimes has input on that, but they would be checking with the contractor who is Save More because they're doing the hiring of the people who are first finding it and then the people who are abating it and then the
Right.
people who are monitoring the abatement to make sure it's all done and clear and ready for kids to come back to school. So it's a whole,
Right.
you probably know, step-by-step process. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you want to go out there and check it, you can. but No
Yeah, you
need.
got,
Anything else on the minutes?
and the training, only because I'm new. So the police station, that's a shooting range?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. So Tom, if you can just give a wave, but actually Tom and Roger might need to abstain because
If they weren't
they
appointed,
weren't
they were
part of
There
it.
during that.
Yeah, so Dave, I'm sure is voting yes, but we can't see him, but so the
I was
four of
here.
us.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, we were all here. and Dave Olson was here, but Tom and Roger need to abstain. So if you were not at a meeting and you were at the meeting, but Tom, but you were not a member yet, so you can't vote on the minutes. That's why you have to abstain. So.
Okay.
You weren't appointed yet, so
Yep.
next time you can.
Okay.
So as we go along, you'll learn a little bit more about meetings and a little bit more on how to do stuff and et cetera. So going forward, our first agenda item is the HVAC project. And Rick, I'd like to have you give us an update on where we are. I remember the meeting last time we talked about the contractors getting started this week. And I don't, or that was on the kickoff meeting that they were going to start.
Correct.
This, so I don't know what the progress is on
Correct.
that. So let us know.
Yeah, so, we did have, when I did at the together meeting,
We did have, when I did at the together meeting,
I'm sorry, you getting feedback from me?
I'm sorry, you getting feedback to me?
We can't
We
hear you.
started hearing you and then you stopped. So
Okay, let me get
Start again.
the feedback on my,
Let me get the feedback on my.
hopefully that's better. Yeah, so what I did is I initiated meetings,
Yeah, so we
every
initiated meetings,
every other week, and we started last week.
every other
And,
week.
we
started
pulled
last
together a
week.
meeting with Save More, Jen, Tyler, Chris Toretti, Cole Ronan, and I invited Christine Carver as well as David Horvath, but they couldn't make it. So we did walk through the status of the project, and you know, I want to have these meetings just to keep everybody on track.
You know, I wanna have
and,
meetings to keep everybody on track. And,
and just make sure the communication is going moving forward. So
So
what we need to do is we're starting in the schools on Tuesday, which is, I believe, the 18th next week. And they'll start marking out the sites. You know, it won't be official abatement yet. They may start that later in the week on the 21st, according to their schedule. But, you know, right now, we've kind of worked it out with the principal and Tyler that we will be in on Tuesday to begin their work. We did have an overall schedule, but I believe I had posted. If not, I'll have that posted tomorrow, which has the major dates. The schedule indicates abatement is to begin on February 21st and is to be completed by May 21st. With the inside work at the school being completed by August 13th. And then substantial completion is looking at September 30th, with Save More being complete by October 8th. Currently, they're going through the submittal okay.
Abatement,
They're
or
going through the submittal okay.
is that just the abatement, or is that, the whole project?
No, that's the entire project.
Whole project, it's October 8th.
No, that's the entire project.
Okay,
Yeah, so the abatement would be completed, looks like by May 21st, I believe.
Looks like by May 21st.
They're still going through the submittal process, and much of the long lead items have been ordered already. You know, things like the DOAS units are being long lead items. We want to get those in, make sure that they're in on time according to their schedule. So I've in touch with Jay, and he assured me that the long lead items have been ordered.
good.
All right.
So the schedule that you talked about, I think, was not, all right. I don't. So the schedule that you mentioned, I don't think was posted unless it's on the shared drive. Did you see a schedule?
I don't see
No.
a schedule.
I thought I saw a schedule.
Did you? Medical contract.
Maybe, is it shared, did you post it to the shared drive?
I sent that over to Jax to post that as well as the Colorado invoice.
To post that as well as the Colorado invoice.
Yeah, Rick, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, Rick, we need to talk about that.
But we can talk offline.
Go ahead, Jen.
But we can talk offline.
No, because if we have, we talked at the last meeting and even the meeting before about a flow of information that needs to go in a certain direction. And let's do that again. Let's hash it out here, because we need to make sure, like that, the Coloronin invoices, they get sent to you, Jen, I guess, right?
No, we updated those per our last discussion. So the Colorado invoices
For our last
go
discussion.
to Rick and to Sam Flynn on the town.
And to Sam Flynn on the
Sorry,
town.
there's really bad echo. Sorry.
It's really bad echo. Sorry.
Yeah, I
So-
think,
Ah.
sorry, Jen. I think
Sorry, Jen. I think we're.
everyone on the screen here is getting, I think we're picking up the microphone in the room,
Picking up the microphone in the room.
and it's a big echo.
I have mine off. too.
And it's a big echo.
All right, so this has happened before, and it was when my microphone was on and mine's not on. The only reason that I go on is to be able to screen share things, and I can just go out completely and see what happens. So
Okay.
what's the sound like now?
Okay.
Sounds much better now.
Better?
Yeah, much better.
Sounds much
Okay.
better now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
All right, so then I can't screen share when I do. I don't know why. I've gone through this with Jack in IT, and he showed me how to totally mute my entire computer and just be able to screen share, which is what I did. But if that's the case, then I'll just get rid of it completely. I'll hold paper up for you to look at.
Okay, so it
All
was
right,
my
Jen,
understanding
you were
the
saying that,
invoices, so we asked, based on our last conversation, we asked Kohler Ronan to send all invoices
We asked.
the town finance team, specifically Sam Flynn and STV Rick Davidow. And I apologize about the most recent invoice that it came across my desk today, and I thought this is not a Kohler Ronan invoice. But that one, I thought it was important to bring up as soon as possible. And my other understanding was that STV was going to be maintaining the Google Drive and all the documentation.
I'm still getting a real bad
well,
echo
that's
here.
how it's
Very
happening.
difficult.
Still getting a real bad echo here. Very difficult.
I don't know, it might be because of you're on your phone, because everybody else is muted. And
I don't think it's just him. I'm also hearing it.
I don't think it's just him. I'm also hearing it.
Yeah, it came back.
Yeah, it came back.
it did come back. All right. So the only other thing we can do is to sign off and sign back on again. And I don't know if we want to do that because we might lose everybody, but Zoom didn't do this. Google Meets does it all the time. I know it's free, but how about if you mute us and then unmute us?
Check if your mic.
Any improvement?
How's that?
Sounds better so far.
So far, I don't know if we can hear anybody in the room though.
Oh, so you can't hear us.
Oh,
Well,
wait,
I
yeah,
can hear you, Nancy.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
the echo seems to be gone.
I think it's good.
All right. Do I need to back up or?
Yeah,
what's-
I would
Yeah, if
like
you
you to
would,
go back.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so in our last meeting, we discussed in terms of invoices that we were gonna have the Kohler Ronan invoices flow directly to town finance, that's Sam Flynn, and to Rick Davidow at STV. So that has all been set up. And then there was an invoice that I sent to both Nancy and Rick at the same time today, because I just got it today and I thought it was important that we move it forward. And we can discuss that one more in detail when the time comes. But that one, I do apologize for the short notice on that one, Nancy. And then also it was my understanding that STV was going to be maintaining all the documentation in the Google Drive.
Yeah, and I just emailed Dr. Carver. I think in talking to Geraldine today, Jen, that I think have been granted access to the wrong Google Drive. So I've asked her for access to the proper
I can-
Google Drive.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a specific and separate VHS HVAC Google Drive. You guys should be able to get into it too. If you can't, let me know and we'll figure out how to do that.
That's good.
Because the documents should go to Jack to post for the town for the meetings. And then they should also go on the Google Drive so people can access them if they need to.
Mhm.
And I'm, if
Rick, I
I,
see you in the Google Drive. I see you in there.
Well, he-
Okay.
you might have to
I'm
check.
not, say that again?
You might have to check again tomorrow. If your name's listed as having access, then you should be able to get into it.
Okay. Yeah, because I know Geraldine and I were looking at two different Google Drives. One was like the BHS or HVAC BHS, and the other one was let's see what it was, but it was a little more involved than that. Two different Google Drives. But yeah, I'll begin posting that, things this week, including the calendar and the
Schedule.
budget and whatnot on the Google Drive.
And I also
Yeah.
think that, in my opinion, as chair, I like to see that stuff as chair before the meetings and before there's, when you get them, so that I know what to do with them, about them. I can ask questions if I need to, etc. So
Sure. Okay.
I'll just have to regularly go into Google Drive and check stuff, which I
But I
do.
can send those over to you, Nancy, before.
All right, so what else is going on with, like, I know that the Board of Selectmen approved the contract with SES, and that must be going back and forth now with Melanie? Is that, do we know?
Yeah, I haven't seen, I know that, speaking to Jen, yesterday, that it hasn't been confirmed yet, or executed. So it, I don't have that information.
Okay, so it must still be in the hands of Melanie and going back and forth between Melanie and SES. And Melanie should be including you and or Geraldine on the back and forth, because you could be helpful in getting that contract completed and signed.
Yep.
Because Dan's gonna have to sign it once it gets completed.
Okay.
That's all that, the only questions that I have specifically, other than invoices. We didn't do a new budget, but we will do another budget review next time, because we'll have an item to add in there, including, which is the insurance, which we'll talk about soon.
Correct.
So does anybody have any either questions for Rick or Jen or Tyler or anything general about the project? Sounds like things are moving forward well.
Yeah.
Happy about
The other
that.
thing, Tyler, that I just want to let you aware of, Dave Moore will be bringing that Connex box in for a couple of weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, just so you're aware. So they're aware of where it's going. They did receive that communication, but might be probably we can have 2 weeks where it gets to site.
Okay, if they
Yeah.
reach out to you regarding that, Rick, please make sure you loop me in, because we'll have to coordinate when that can be delivered, so it's not during like bus drop off or pickup. The parking lot is
Certainly, yep.
far too busy for that.
Right. Okay, and the other thing is the additional was approved for alternate number 2 for the 120,000. So I have reached, Melanie wanted me to reach out to Dave Moore to just get a change order from them. It's been approved, but just so we can sign it and have it for record.
Yeah, I saw that going back and forth in emails.
Yep.
So is Save More initiating the change order?
They are. I should have it in hand, if not tomorrow, by Friday.
I don't think we have to approve it because it's already been approved, so we just,
It's already been approved. Yeah, just sign up on it and just have it for records for them and for us.
okay. And then the meetings that you talked about having, you said every other week or monthly, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I just got back from Chris Toretti, his availability. So it's going to be twice a month. At least initially, we may go to weekly as needed, once things start moving along. But we're going to start that. We had our first last Thursday, but we're going to start doing them on Tuesday mornings, not this week, but the following.
Okay. So once you really get into it, you might be meeting every week if needed.
Correct. It's just really more of a communication thing to make sure that everybody knows what's going on, what areas we're going to be in, what nights, etc.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Okay, anything else? Anybody have any questions or anything? Or, yeah,
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So Kathy did attach two
Yeah, we're gonna
invoices,
look at
and then
those.
you have, so
Yeah.
that's a separate issue.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we do that kind of when we're done with everything for that particular project, we'll do invoices.
Okay.
So if we're ready, we can do invoices. So the first one is easy because it's Kohler Ronan. Kohler Ronan is, for new folks, they're the engineers on the project. And we needed to have, they did a whole, there's a little background. Board of Ed hired Kohler Ronan to do a whole assessment of the high school. What's needed, what's working, what's not, et cetera. They came up with a whole report, bunch of phases, some costs attached, which probably will change over time. However, when we got the grant to do this part, and they're calling it phase 3, we needed to have somebody do construction administration on the engineering side. So, Kohler Ronan is doing that since they did the plans initially. So this is their third invoice, I think, to us. And so I'm going to make the motion to approve the invoice, and then we can discuss it if you have questions. I'll make a motion that we approve Kohler Ronan invoice number 22021.02.01-2 dated January 29th, 2025 for services rendered through the end of January in the amount of $3,662.50.
Second.
Dave Resendez seconds. So, questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
So thank you. So I got a copy of it.
Yeah.
Where's the backup or now I see that it's sent to the finance department.
Yeah.
I don't see the breakdown. So when I worked for consulting services in years past, we always have, so is that some department? I mean, we don't see the break. I didn't get a copy of it.
Right.
And I don't know
So-
if anybody else.
So I can jump in here. So our contract with Kohler Ronan has a total of $50,000 for contract administration fees for this project. The first invoice the Board of Ed paid for, and the remaining ones are in the budget to be paid for out of this project, and they're being billed in equal installments.
Okay, so we don't need backup who spent how many hours on, because that's generally what you get, which is what we have for, like, this one is not for the high school, but it's for the police station, but you get who spent, and the same thing with STV, we get who spent how many hours on that particular month of the project. But what Jen's saying is, we have a total amount of $50,000
Right.
that they are saying it's gonna cost for the entire project, which we have to finish by the end of December per the grant.
Right, it's a fixed price contract. It's not a time and materials.
Right, well,
Yeah.
but so even with fixed price with STV, they give us for that month, who spent how much time doing what. That's what.
Yeah,
Roger-
and I've seen about, this is Rick, I've seen it done both ways. Many times, there will be a fixed price, going forward. We just, as a STV, as a company, have always done it on a per hour basis. Over the course of a project, because there'll be ebbs and flows in it. I know that's the way that they've been billing it. I think the first two invoices as well, correct, Jen?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not about we don't pay them. If somebody gives us a fixed price,
We don't pay them.
we don't pay over that price, even though they're putting in how many hours they spent doing what through the month. Usually it's monthly, we get it. So what they're doing is splitting it up over all the months, and we're gonna get a invoice for the same amount every month. Now, they may work more next month and less the month after, or they work less this month, so we're not seeing that. But they're not gonna charge us more than that fixed amount, and they're not gonna charge us more than taking the 50,000 and dividing it by however many months. They gave us an invoice a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, so this is a third.
And that was all stated in the contract. Evidently.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. It was in addition to the contract that Board of Ed already had with them for the work that they did initially to come up with the whole plan. Because the plan that Board of Ed has from Kohler Ronan is way beyond what's happening with this project. Again, this is phase 3. Beyond it's going to be more phases. We're getting more done than we thought we could. So that's a good thing. I'm using the grant money. I mean, if we need to see hours, I guess we can ask for it. If we think we need it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, sure we could ask for it if you guys need it. But I mean, I can tell you based on our experience, Kohler Ronan has been, very responsive in terms of answering any questions we have. They review submittals quickly. They come out to do inspections of equipment on the roof when it's time to figure out whether or not it's appropriate to pay an invoice. So we haven't had any concerns about their timeliness or effort so far.
Part of what they are also doing is all of what Jen said, but also whenever we get a application for payment from the contractor, Save More, Kohler Ronan has to sign off on that too. So they have to check it and make sure they say they did 50% of this and 20% of that. If it's not right, it goes back to them and they've got to correct it and update it. Colorado make sure that that's all correct. Between Colorado and STB, they make sure that the applications for payment from Save More are correct. So that's another thing that they're doing. So do we have any other questions on this? Okay, so let's vote on it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Done. You guys can, Tom and Dave Olson, you can vote too. If you're opposed, just jump in. If you're not saying anything, I'm assuming it's a yes.
Aye.
All right, thanks. Okay, so that's that. So this next one, need a little, you didn't get this one because like Jen said, she just got it this afternoon and then forwarded it to Rick and to me and to Kathy. And I was like, I don't know what this is. That's not ours. But I'll do a brief explanation and they can add in if they need it. So in other, because it's builder's risk insurance, and generally in the past couple of projects we've done, it's been either covered by the town or covered under something that the contractor or construction manager has. But it has to be, oh, whatever it is in the amount has to be okayed by the town insurance people, the people that insure the town. So we're looking at a town building that we're working in, and so it's got to be covered. And this time, Brad sent me a quick explanation. I don't know, I saw it right before I came over here. And it makes sense that in other projects, the insurance, the amount that was needed could easily be absorbed by the town. This one, not so much. Is that a simple way of putting it? I don't know, Jen, if you want to.
Well, so the town has liability insurance that covers and that also includes our buildings.
Right.
And when we did the other projects, the builder's risk insurance was with the same company, but at the same time as adding the builder's risk, they were able to reduce the liability side. But
Yep.
those were different, more comprehensive projects. For this project, it's a much smaller project. And I'm definitely not an expert on insurance and how all of this works, but basically what they've come back with is that we need to do the builder's risk in addition to our existing policy. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the building is going to be occupied. We're still running school.
Yes.
And we're doing this project, evenings after the students leave. So that's why this is an additional expense that originally was not something that was on our radar screen.
Right. And like with the building the police station, a brand new building, there's different kind of insurance. So the contractor, the construction manager at risk covers the building because it's not completed yet. Once it's completed and turns over to the town, then the town's got to take over. So this was sent, I don't know, the invoice date is the end of December, and then Jen just got it, and we don't want to have any kind of lapse in insurance. So if you need to look at it, I can pass it around. I was going to put it on the screen, but so it's the company is USI Insurance Services. And so what I'll do is make a motion, and then if we need to talk more about it, we can. I make a motion that we approve the invoice from USI Insurance Services dated Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. The invoice number is 533-4860, and the amount is $7,450. And that's just from months ago till the end of the project. Because I asked, it's not like we're not going to get another invoice.
So that's the total. That's the total.
Yes,
cost amount.
yes.
Is that budgeted for though? Like, does that?
So yes and no. It wasn't on our radar, as Jen said. So it's not, and that's, Geraldine was going to throw together a quick budget update, but I didn't have time to get all the information together to do that. So the budget, the last budget that was presented, and there's one on the Google Drive, shows, the basic expenses of professional fees like the architect or engineer, STV, and then there's all the Save More and the construction costs, and then there's our owner's contingency. It's going to come out of our owner's contingency, which isn't a huge amount to be with, but there's still a chunk left in there, which I can find if we need, because I had pulled up that.
Yeah, I think it's 142.
Say that again, Rick?
I think it's 142,000.
Left. Or it's
Correct.
coming to the 142,000. I'm looking.
The remaining, Rick's right, the remaining contingency is a little more than 142,000. So
Okay.
this
Right.
takes 7,000 out of the contingency.
All right, so the 7,500 is coming out of the remaining contingency. Budget.
Dave has it.
Yeah,
Screen. I got it up here.
so that's it. That's
Yeah,
what I was
the
looking for.
142, yeah.
So it's coming out of the 142. All right, so that still leaves us with 130 something thousand contingency, which is a decent amount for a project this size. All right. Any other questions on? Because you need to you need to see it. You want to look at it.
Insurance is insurance.
Insurance is insurance. We have to do it.
So is there a line in here for insurance? Not to.
No.
No, not here.
Then we might add one in because it would go in. So all the construction costs are on one side and all the town costs are on the other side.
Okay.
So it would go in as, it would come out of the contingency. So it would lower the contingency, but there would be a line. They'd add a line in. That's
What
a,
it's for,
yeah, that's a
but normally
budget.
it would be accounted for if they were aware of this. It would be
Yes,
kind of
if we
insurance
knew-
first. Yeah.
yeah.
Like you said, nobody's an insurance expert.
Right.
Or is-
But there was a whole discussion on it between Melanie and Save More and whoever else, not me, because it was a surprise again to me. Yes, there will be a line added into that when we get our regular budget reports, which you usually get monthly. It'll be a line added in there so we can see where all the expenditures are.
Yeah, under owner's contingency, it'll just show up as a dollar figure, but when you drill down in the backup sheets, it'll be listed in there as to what it was for.
Yeah, but you can add it into the budget, that spreadsheet that Geraldine put it together, I think, initially. So
Correct, yep.
you're gonna continue to use that, add a line in somewhere with the insurance in it under town expenses or whatever the categories are.
Whole tab for project budgets.
Yeah. All right, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You didn't even have a second. so-
Oh, we didn't have a second? I need a second on this, sorry.
I'll second.
Dave seconds.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done, thank you. So I think that's a good one. Okay, so I think that's kind of it for HVAC.
Yeah, well, the only other thing we have, Nancy, is there's an issue with a submittal that was submitted by Save More, that they looking for a submittal for the abatement disposal. And submittal came through by Save More's contractor, and Coloronan's been taking care of all our submittals, but they don't do hazardous waste. So the document came through last week. It's like, what was it, 336 pages, Tyler? And it is basically a big boilerplate document that indicates all the processes and procedures that go along with abatement, along with the licenses for all the people at with Save More and their contractors who's going to be doing the work, that their certificates are up to snuff and things along those lines. Hospital numbers, with routes on where you would go if something should happen, and things along those lines. It's quite an involved document. I didn't read all the 336 pages, but that's the gist of it. But we need someone to approve the submittal for that. And I know a lot of times that it's different towns will have hygienists on staff that can approve that, but I believe, Jen, that I know you're talking to Mark and Bethel does not have that, correct?
We usually contract with the company formerly known as Hygienics, and now I think it's Panoni. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler.
Panoni.
Panoni. Yes. Yeah. So, and the town of Bethel also uses the same contractor for things like this. So, one of the things we wanted to give you a heads up on, Nancy, is that I think we are going to have some contracted expenses that also were not laid out in the budget to get this reviewed.
So is this gonna happen? Is this as Rick said, boilerplate, so it's gonna be standard for the entire project, or are we gonna have to have this done a bunch of times?
Nope, standard for the entire project. It's a one-time submittal.
Okay, so who's gonna contact, usually it's Jim Twitchell that we work with? I don't know.
Yep, Tyler already did. Yeah,
Okay.
you can jump in, Tyler.
Yeah, I wasn't able to speak with Jim Twitchell. He was on the road today, but I did speak to Ted Teo, who's also a hygienist with Pannoni. And Ted told me that typically if it's a one-time submittal, they charge an hourly rate. Their rate is $280 an hour. He said most typical submittals are a 2 to 3 hour review time. Being 336 pages, this one might be a little bit more. I didn't get into those specifics with him, but the $280 an hour multiplied by however many hours it takes them to review should be a pretty good ballpark number for us to be able to put into the budget.
So then I think we'll need a proposal from Pannoni and have that approved, and then we'll get it signed so that we can make it official.
Yep, I can reach out and get that. We just wanted to bring it to the committee's attention before we got too far into it.
And that
And
would
I
be,
have a question, right? So if we get a proposal and then come back to this meeting to get a proposal approved, I'm just wondering what that does to the timeline in terms of when the abatement work starts and when they will need to be disposing of things.
Yeah, so if they're starting abatement, the end of next week, I mean, obviously that's before our next meeting.
so I
Because
think, go ahead.
Right, the disposal, will happen right along, right? So it's, it's not like it's gonna all happen at the end of the project.
Right.
So if we don't find a way to get this reviewed before the end of next week, does that mean we're going to delay the abatement start?
It may,
But it
yeah, it
should,
may.
it shouldn't. So if this is a company that's worked in the area for forever, and Jim Twitchell and company are familiar with them, they should have a quicker time reviewing. And it's kind of people get started without having a signed proposal, we're not going to back off. We just want to make sure they're doing the right thing, and we need to have,
Right.
and we can't make that approval or sign anything. We've got to get it done through the proper channels. And at the same time, we know that lots of stuff gets started before things get signed. And then we sign and we move forward. So,
I mean,
Yes, let's get the proposal as soon as possible.
Is it possible for you guys to approve like up to $2,000 so that we can proceed with the work and then bring an invoice?
so we could make a motion to approve a not to exceed amount. And then we would need still a proposal that would have to get approved and signed. But if we make it a proposal or a motion to approve a not to exceed amount, then they know that they're going to get paid. And I think because the town has worked with them so frequently, meaning Hygienics / whatever, you got to tell me what the name of it's Pannoni. How do you spell it? Well, I know we've gotten invoices from them on when we were doing the GP room, because that's when it switched.
So real quick, this is just to review the abatement process, I guess.
Disposal plan.
Correct.
But what I've seen is most contractors, they don't daily dispose of it, ship it off site. I don't know what they do. They typically keep it in like a satellite area, maybe truck, whatever, double bag,
I think they said this is all glove and bag, right?
Yeah.
Is what,
Yeah, it's small.
yeah.
Yeah, small, so they don't
Okay, I got it.
probably every
The
day.
town director of health doesn't get involved though? She doesn't get involved with
I don't believe that she has the
Well, I know
level of
different
expertise.
projects she's commented on, like air quality and stuff. That's why I don't
Yes.
understand.
That's all being monitored by a third party.
But the air quality is going to be monitored by a third party. She's not going to do the monitoring. And I think that having Pannoni do this review would be much more efficient and.
No, it makes sense. I just didn't know her role. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think she has some knowledge of that kind of stuff, but not as much as they would. And it could take, and she might refer to them anyways. So
So I have a question. Once Panoni reviews it, then what happens? They go back to Kohler Ronan?
No, Colorado steps out of it, so it'd go back to Save More. So if they
Okay.
they review it and they say, yeah, this is all good, then they just go as is. If they, comment on it and they say, no, this has to be changed, it goes back and they have to resubmit with the proper information.
Okay.
So if the document that Rick is talking about is all the disposal and again, a lot of it's probably boilerplate because it's what they use every single time, depending on where they are. And it's what's going to be done through the entire process. So if there's disposable done on Tuesday and then not again till next Tuesday, the same process has to be followed. We're making sure through Panoni that the process that they're spelling out is the proper process, state approved, et cetera, and that they have to follow it every single time. Now, once the disposal's done, it gets taken out of there and somebody does some air quality checking or another company has to do all that testing to make sure, oh yeah, we can have kids back in school. It's another company. And that's just another part of the process. There's a million steps sometimes to it. So does that answer your question there, Tom?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, good. All right, so how about if I make a motion that we approve an amount not to exceed $2,000 to have, what are they called? Panoni Inc. Panoni, it just says Panoni on here.
Yeah,
Panoni Inc.
your engineering.
Maybe at the bottom.
Review the, what's it called, Rick?
Submittal
The
for abatement,
for
abatement submittal,
disposal.
correct.
Got that, Kath? Yeah. And provide us with a proposal that we will approve at another meeting, but this will be basically so we can get things going. You don't have to write all that down, but is that a
Yeah,
good
so
enough?
Tyler, you'll reach out to them to get a proposal on that?
Yeah, I'll reach out to them tomorrow.
Okay, so I need a second on my rambling motion. Dave? Any other input on that? Good questions, everybody. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. If it ends up being more, we'll deal with that. But again, this is going to be another line item added to the budget report, taken out of our contingency. And if you could just keep, once we get Panoni working with Rick and that 130 some odd page submittal, keep us posted about that. And if we have to do anything with at the next meeting, we will. Okay. Anything else, Rick?
I understand why you're moving forward.
No, I think I'm all good for now, unless anybody has any questions.
All right, anybody have questions for Rick or Jen or Tyler or Jen, you have questions for us or anything we need to know? Okay, great. Thank you so very much. Next time.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thanks, everybody. So that's everything on the HVAC. Next on the agenda, the police station training range, which for new folks is something we recently completed. And this is apparently is supposed to be the only outstanding invoice. I've been checking further, but Environmental Systems Company, which did all the controls on the original police station building, also did controls on the range. And this is their outstanding amount, yet we asked ESC, and I'm gonna have to check with STV because that somebody else with STV was our owner's rep on this project. When we were hooking everything up to the makeup air unit that was necessary for this range, which does the air exchange while they're firing, but it also provides heating and cooling for the building as necessary when the building's unoccupied, when that part of the building is unoccupied. When we went to hook that makeup air unit up to the gas line that was supplied, we found that there wasn't enough pressure to run the makeup air unit. So there had to be new a new regulator put in and I think a new meter. And ESC, a different department of ESC, put the regulator in. They gave us a proposal, we approved it, it came out of contingency. They did the work, it's all running, and I haven't seen an invoice, and this was back in May, June. So I'm checking in on that, but we will do this invoice tonight, because there's not much else with the range, they've been using it, everything's working, I haven't had any complaints. So I will make a motion that we approve this invoice from Environmental Systems Company, ESC, invoice number 1191800, dated April 16th, 2024. I don't know where it went because I just got it a few weeks ago, for the range in the amount of $845. And this completes their contracted amount for this part of the project, because there's remaining contract to bill is $0. So I need a second. So this did go out. It shows it's an actual application for payment, not just an invoice. Shows everything 100%, etc. Any questions?
So I guess that's within the budget of what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the budget. I didn't do a updated budget report for this, because we still have that one outstanding invoice or one outstanding amount that I know we approved their proposal for it. The work got done. And so I've been emailing people the only ESC people I know, and that might just be the wrong department. That's what I have to find out. And I haven't gotten any replies saying, oh no, you still owe us this, because I don't want to close it out and say done. And then 2 months later, somebody comes back with an invoice. I'd rather not have that happen.
So something like this, again, I'm just asking questions about
Sure.
it. It doesn't get accounted for whoever designed, like ordered the system and then piped it. Like there's no like how did they, again, it's only $800, but how did they not know that it wasn't the right?
So
parts, I
initially,
guess?
the line that was running there to where this, and we finished the actual main building of the police station before we did the range.
Yep, understood.
The line that was running out there, it was supposed to have X PSI or WC or whatever. And when they tested it, it wasn't what they said it was going to be. I think it was because it was far enough away from where it was coming in, where the meter was or whatever, that they needed to upgrade it. So yes, that's the kind of thing that with any project, you end up, so your budget has the fixed costs, which are the construction costs, and the design costs, and an owner's rep if you hire an owner's rep, and other things that are all lines in the budget. And then there's a contingency. The contractor or construction manager has their own contingency. If they find things that they missed when they put out their, bid documents, et cetera, that gets covered with that. On our side, there's our town's construction contingency. If something's either out of scope and we want it done, or somehow it didn't get covered correctly or whatever, well, then we have to look at it. It becomes a change order. We have to look at it and say, yes, this is good. We need to do this, or no, we should never have had to do this. You got to deal with it, meaning the contractor. So we did have some of those where it was up to the contractor to take care
But I
of
guess
it.
in this case, if the police station was built first and they ran the line,
Yeah.
then they ordered the unit, they
Yeah.
might not have, it's almost like two projects in a way, right? I
Yeah,
guess
yes, yeah.
If they had built at the same time, you could probably argue,
Yeah.
well, they should have
They
known
should
what
have.
size line to run.
Right, and that was our
buildings.
question too, was like,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be whatever, 2 PSI.
Yeah, how
and
did
it's
you
not
not know
getting
that
there,
it was the wrong,
yeah.
but I guess.
So, and I think that amount was like maybe 3,600 is what I'm remembering, for them to say the whole process they had to do, shut the whole station down, drain the gas lines, put in some new stuff.
I mean, one would argue the same thing for the HVAC. It's obviously the school's done renovations before to other buildings.
Yes,
You would think they would have known that there was some application they have to do to what we were just talking about.
The
280 an
insurance?
hour. Yeah, well, not the insurance, the
Abatement.
abatement to review the documentation, right?
Yes.
I would think
Yeah.
it comes every time
yes,
on every project. That's why
Yes.
it's kind of interesting that it was
yes,
not included on this one when you
Yes.
It's not like this is the first school we've ever,
No.
made
No.
renovation. Actually, the high school we've done renovations to before.
Right, and unfortunately, the high school renovations that were done in 2010 should have included a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of this,
no,
and they
you
didn't,
would
they
save-
all
you-
got cut out.
You would have saved a lot of money at that time.
We weren't
Yeah,
part,
yeah,
we
yeah.
weren't part of
Yeah,
that,
of course,
but
yeah.
there was a
Again.
whole ad hoc committee that,
Wherever you are, right?
that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was trying to get it done, but it was getting pulled out because, oh, we're gonna go over budget, and so now we have to.
Like I said, it's just interesting that, this isn't the first school they
No.
fixed that before. I'm sure they've done this application before
Yes,
for
and,
the
and
process.
yes, I know when we renovated Rockwell and Johnson School, we had several different people that we, the town, had to contract with, not the contractor or the construction manager, with the town, to do abatement, and then the monitoring, and then testing. Then we had special testing, which is, there's that special testing labs that's in town. They come and they do like the concrete,
Yeah, no, I mean, especially with an older
Quality
school.
test,
And you
quality
think-
test.
and you think you're covering everything, and then you miss something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Again,
Yeah.
nobody here is experts on, well, you have experience, but the experts on,
Well, obviously, so this was an expansion of the gas line within the building because Eversource owns that to the meter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then they put a regulator.
Yep.
To lessen the pressure.
yes.
Okay, so then nobody figured out that they have to.
What was-
Or a separate line
It
from
was a separate,
Eversource?
it was a line that came, I believe, from what was coming in from Eversource out towards where because the whole building's been running. But
Right,
This is a
right.
separate.
Right.
Addition, so to speak. The structure was put up when the original building was built. But it wasn't completed. There's nothing in there.
Right.
Now there is. It's a great range. But if you're into that thing, they need it. They've been using it. We call it a training range because they can do more with it than just firing. They can do other drills in there and things like that. But the air unit, which is at the furthest end from where it comes in,
Right.
and it goes, I think, underground. I don't think it goes through the building. Pops up at that makeup air unit, was initially, the initial design called for whatever the PSI had to be. And then when they went to check and see, it wasn't getting it.
Right.
So they had to put a new regulator, my understanding. And I have the proposal from them, and I have to go back and see. I know when it was given to us, when we approved it. Just gotta find out why they're not, again, it could be a different division of the company that they're not, saying, where's our money?
especially since April, right?
Well, I don't know where this went in April. It might have gone to finance.
No late charges on there.
No late charges. Nope, that's the amount.
So Nancy, I have a question then. The proposals in a lot of these documents that you're mentioning do we have access to them, or they go to other departments, then they go directly to you?
So when the proposals come in, if they're through either the construction manager or the contractor, that's all their thing. They do it. If it's through the town, if the town has to approve and sign things, all of that gets sent out to everybody beforehand so we can review it and then discuss it at a meeting.
Okay.
So when we got a proposal from ESC to do the controls for the range, STV reviewed it, made a recommendation of either changes or, yeah, go ahead with it the way it is, or where you're missing this part, make sure you put that in. We approve it, but
So,
if it's a contract with the town, we can't sign it. So I always have to bring it to Dan Carter to sign. And then once it's signed, we start getting invoices. We approve invoices because the money's already been approved. And I initial them and get them up to finance to be paid. But as far as the proposals and anything that we have to approve, that's why we try to get it out to everybody. And I like stuff to go out on Friday before a meeting, so you have the weekend to review it, have questions at the meeting, etc. Sometimes things don't get to us quickly enough.
So will that get emailed by Kathy, or does that go in the Google Doc that we have access to?
So Kathy will send the agenda and the minutes. As chair, I send out other stuff as I get it, or STV, as they're our owner's rep on this project and on the HVAC right now. They would send them out. And we're accustomed to getting them in emails and having them in the Google Drive. If they just get put in the Google Drive and you don't know they're there, I want to check in with Rick to make sure if he doesn't post them in an email to us, but he puts them on the Google Drive, let us know so we can go there and look. Otherwise, we're gonna spend, I don't know, a whole bunch of time checking on the Google Drive every day. That would be a little tedious.
Right, right.
So
How do we find this mysterious Google Drive?
So-
You're not on it. I just checked.
Yeah, neither
we
actually.
have
Jeff's not
to
on
get
it
you-
either.
we have to
Oh,
get
okay.
it. So it's I don't even know how to find it because I know if I go into my Google, the little
It's being.
9 dots thing,
It's
in
the
Google.
HVAC grant project. is what
yeah,
it's
it's
called.
VHS HVAC grant project. But if you go into Google, if you have a Gmail thing in your thing where all the dots are, and you open it up, it's got your contacts and your Google Play and your Gmail and whatever. There's a Drive thing, and
I have a Gmail account.
you have to look for it, and then you have to ask to be. I will try to send you a link so that you can then say, I want to be a part of it. Have you gotten into it?
No,
No, okay.
I didn't know anything about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess the bigger question is it helpful for us to be added to it, to look, to review it, or we'll just review it at the meetings anyway?
Well, it's helpful in that if there are larger documents that have to be sent out. So it got started with when we were renovating both Rockwell and Johnson at the same time. This is good for everybody to know. There was so much stuff that we needed to look at and have access to, and we were meeting in person. It was right before COVID, up in the conference room for Board of Ed, and STV would show up with reams of paper. Who wants reams of paper? You know, we want to try to keep things electronic, makes it easier. So it was between STV and Board of Ed that they had the idea of starting in the Google Drive. So we have one for the Johnson and Rockwell projects, one for the police station, firing range, one for the HVAC, and I think there might be another one on there. But everything's in there. You can look at contracts if you wanted to. So contracts that got signed before you were appointed, you might want to check them out because you have a question about something. So Geraldine from STV was always really good about putting everything there, the meeting minutes, the documents, the invoices, everything, contracts. And then she kind of retired. And then it wasn't getting done quite so, and she moved away. She lives out in Nevada. But she still works for them remotely. So she's kind of keeping them on their toes to make sure that they're doing the stuff they need to do. Like Rick, he should be putting all this stuff on the drive. I shouldn't be I was the one that took over doing it because it wasn't getting done by people in a regular, there's another one on the Google Drive that you started with all the meeting minutes and agendas and things. I don't know if you're still.
I just have the, Buffalo HVAC.
Okay. Well, because you don't need to go to
I
the other
think you
ones
have to
yet.
ask permission.
Yeah, each one you have to get permission. And I don't know if you're keeping the minutes up to date, because now it's on the town
I haven't
website.
done it yet, because now it's on the town website.
Yeah, so anything that we discuss at a meeting, and this is true for all board and commissions in town. The agenda, the minutes, and then all of this stuff is supposed to be accessible to anybody. So if we're discussing something at a meeting and you're the public, you should be able to go online and look at it. I don't know how accessible it is at the town website because,
It's pretty
They
along.
have the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
schedule on the website.
Yeah,
They don't
it's
have
on
it
the
on the
website.
Google Drive.
oh, okay.
Along with the recording, once it's
The recording,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, it'll all be on there. Yeah, no,
I think it's pretty.
it is. I actually go through quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where the schedule was actually. That he was mentioned before. It's on the actual meeting calendar on the town website.
And this became more of a kind of, you really had to keep up with it during COVID when all our meetings were remote. So everything had to go back and forth electronically, even signing things. I mean, sometimes I'd come over here with stuff that, and Geraldine did too, to come over here with stuff to sign in person if we had to. But for the most part, everything was going back and forth. And then you don't have a lot of paper because I have a box of paper that I have to do something with someday, and that's not as big as those, but yeah. So did we vote on this?
You did that.
But
You had
those
a
are,
second, yeah, you haven't voted yet.
all right, so we're gonna vote on this, and then there's a few other things I wanna. So this is the ESC invoice. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. I wouldn't bring it to you if I didn't think it was okay, because I ask a lot of questions, as you see, with this insurance thing. I asked a lot of questions about that in an email before I agreed to just bring it before, and I couldn't send it out to everybody in enough time. So a lot of the questions that Tom asked, that Roger asked, that you've asked, are good things that you need to know to help you be more effective as a member of the commission. Because I had thought, once we got all the new people in place, that we'd have like a special meeting or maybe a half an hour before our regular meeting started, so we could just go over some basics. But we've kind of, with the questions being answered, et cetera, a lot of the basics have kind of been gone over, but I can go over them again. So on our agenda, we did the HVAC, we did the training range. I don't have anything else. I can do another budget update when I get something from ESC, whether they're gonna bill us for the regulator that they put in. Rockwell and Johnson School just kind of stays on the agenda. We ought to take it off, because we had a few things we had to deal with recently, but had been waiting for the state to finish the audit of the project so we could get our final reimbursement amount, because that was covered by a reimbursement grant. So we can probably take that off. But the municipal center locker room renovations, that's a good place to get jumping in on this when you get started on it.
From the beginning, right?
Kind of. We did, there was a,
Change.
yes, there was a plan. There were plans done several years ago to renovate the area from the end of the GP room down to the gym, commonly known as the locker rooms and their coaches' offices and storage areas and things like that. The plans that were made were put out to bid. We had one bid come back. It was just under $1 million, but we couldn't use it because it wasn't specific in the RFP that it had to be prevailing wage, which it does with municipal projects. Over a certain amount, you have to pay prevailing wage. So we couldn't use that, and we didn't go anywhere with it for a little while. Now we're revisiting it, and the plans have kind of changed a little. And what we're trying to do is figure out a way to use, you were in there, you came for a little while. We had a meeting with BMP, which is a construction company, and Gordian, which is so just back up a little bit. The GP room lobby was renovated with ARPA funds, using this process through the state where you can use contractors and amounts from the state contract list. You don't have to go out to bid, because all those are rebid all the time. And you can do an entire project. We did that GP room. We had to put a bunch of extra money into it because we didn't know what kind of abatement would need to be done. Once we did testing, there was very little. So we spent about $400,000 putting in the new bathrooms, new floor, new ceiling, new doors into the GP room, new exterior doors, upgrading, doing a little bit of abatement that needed to be done, painting, etc. So that process, there's a company called Gordian. They are owners reps, but they have contracted with the state to be kind of like the owner's rep, but they work with BMP, which is the construction company for the area. Also, the whole state contract list thing. It's been kind of hard for everybody to wrap their brains around. You don't have to go out to bid. You don't have to get a bid or get 3 proposals, or it's all on the state contract list, all the way down to, small square feet of tile, to thousands of yards of dirt, to, hundreds of miles of pipe. It's on the state contract list. You can use this process to do a good sized project or a small project. So BMP, the construction company, a representative of Gordian, the overseer kind of project manager people, came to a meeting with Dave came, Jeff missed it because they changed the time.
Yeah.
I happened to find out, I was there too, and Rachel McGrath, who's a Park and Rec director. Because we're looking at that area and looking and seeing that the locker rooms, they're the original locker rooms for the high school. They're huge. They had lockers and they had a bunch of showers and some toilets and some sinks. The way the town uses the gym now and the way the town uses that area of the building, we don't need a huge locker room. We have a much smaller locker room. Locker rooms, gotta have men's and women. And then have a whole bigger area, which is what Rachel would like to do, to use it kind of like if it's this big, have it be a class space. Have a small class in there. It would actually even be bigger than this. So that's what we looked at with the original architect, Peter Eckert. We can't contract with him because he does a lot of residential construction, and the way his insurance is set up isn't jiving with what the town needs for insurance. So the information he has, he's willing to work with us, give us everything he has. And what the proposal is now is that BMP is going to work with Gordian to come up with a price, a cost to put together some first initial like schematic designs. And if we're agreeable about how that goes, then actually a cost to do construction documents. So whatever architectural, structural, MEP, all that we need. So they're coming up with a cost to find out what's going to cost, because we're then going to need to bring that to Board of Selectmen, Board
Did
of
we come up with a
Finance.
number? Did Dan come up with the number?
He did. So one of the things that,
They
yes,
asked us.
yes.
if we
So
could give them
BMP
a
and Gordian said, what are you looking at? You want to do a $3 million project? You want to do a $1 million project?
Do you want skylights and
Yeah, yeah.
fancy tile, or do you want, you know?
It's nicer than the rest of it.
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Italian marble everywhere. So yeah. So Dan did say 175,000 to $1 million. So they're looking at that BMP to start. And
So
I had,
that's the number you gave, 175 to $1 million?
no, 750,000.
Oh, 700. Okay,
Yeah.
so five.
Not 75.
I'm gonna guess I'm gonna go with the
Seven-
175.
yeah. 750,000.
To $1 million, sorry.
Or use some particle board.
Yeah, right. And that stuff that they put on the floor and the.
So is
senior
Park and
center.
Rec involved, or just like the Park and Rec
Yes.
commissions
They're gonna
involved?
be the ones using it the
So-
most.
No, the commission itself.
But the commission, this is interesting because
Because like Parloa, I mean, technically it's a public site, like.
Yes.
That's not us.
but
which
that
is-
won't be us.
Yeah, which is interesting because that's
It
a
might
big,
not be.
yeah.
I don't know who's doing Parlo, are you or?
I
Public
mean,
Works?
I'm doing some like little things about it, but it's mainly going through Rachel.
Okay.
Like everything's going through her for that.
See,
side.
so,
Like, I guess
so
they
this is
decide,
another
right?
good, that's a
Yeah.
good question because we don't get we do all the municipal buildings, whether it's a new building or a renovation, but only as assigned by the Board of Selectmen. And
Okay.
generally, if it's a amount that's coming out of some budget somewhere, it'll generally go through Public Works, which is why I asked Kathy if it's going through her. So if Public Works has some money set aside to do some floors and it's time to do the floors out, we're not gonna, that's Public Works. If it's it's not always the amount of the project, it's,
Well, like
But
here,
how it's
they're
covered.
doing the carpets and stuff, right? That's why those boxes are
Yeah.
there, right?
Yep.
So that didn't come to us.
No.
yeah.
that's Public Works.
Yeah.
Because that's either coming out
It's
of
ARPA funded.
at either ARPA funds or capital non-recurring, which is in the budget. Anything that's in the budget already generally doesn't come through us unless it's a separate, if on the budget ballot, there are capital projects that are large enough, we might get assigned those, but generally not. And I have to remind some people sometimes.
Like
that we-
Parloa is like $1 million, right?
well, we're the Public Site and Building Commission, not the Public Site and Maintenance Commission. So I have to remind people of that periodically.
I guess it's true maintenance, maybe carpets and some maintenance or something. yeah.
It kind of is, it's
It's a
upgrades.
wearable.
But
Yeah.
Parloa, I'd argue that's like you're
Right.
you're building the bathrooms and stuff. But
You
again,
know, the bathrooms aren't getting touched.
No, the bathrooms are,
I thought they're getting renovated.
they're
getting,
getting new toilets.
they're
and
getting
stuff
some
like that.
love,
Oh,
but they're not getting.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not building that. We're
There's no
gonna
construction.
build it, they're not building
Oh,
it.
okay.
So, but that's a good point to know that, we as a commission don't get to go out and say, well, this building needs, so let's go get some money together. We get assigned by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking
And that-
that.
no,
I just like, how do you decide what project comes? But I guess if
Right.
it's the board of selectmen,
They
that's just meeting
decide.
together.
They
That makes
decide.
sense.
Yep. So, And for a while, some of the large town projects like the high school were done by an ad hoc committee, which the Board of Selectmen has the authority to make an ad hoc committee to do something.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
But so
do it.
Barry and Johnson were not, no, Johnson and Rockwell were not because
Yes.
that came through, that was
That
an
was
ad hoc,
us.
that was an ad hoc.
No, that was us. Berry School was ad hoc. High school was ad hoc. Johnson and Rockwell was us. Finishing the second floor of the library was us.
And the police station was.
Police station was us. Firing range was us, or training range. What else do we do? Oh, that building that, Park and Rec stores all their stuff in over there.
Yeah, that
behind the
old
old-
police station.
Yeah, we had to do that.
Interesting. No,
It's-
listen, I don't want to drag this
it-
meeting out for
I know.
hours. So I.
Oh, this is early compared to what we used to have to do with the school
Yeah,
project.
of
so,
course.
yeah. So, but that's all good information to know, because then you know going forward, you're not gonna get every little thing that comes
Yeah.
before the town that some building needs. They just did a little bit of renovation at the library. It didn't come to us because it was
Yeah.
just some new carpets and.
Yeah, I mean, some of the
tables
stuff makes
and
sense,
stuff.
right? If
Yeah.
it's, these 50, whatever it is.
If it's something like with the locker rooms, we're gonna have to go ask for, we are going to have to come up with some schematics, which we hire experts to do.
Yeah.
And when we like them, and again, going back to Park and Rec and Park and Rec Commission, any project that we're assigned by the Board of Selectmen can have extra people assigned to it from whatever that project is.
Okay.
So with Johnson and Rockwell School, we had Dave Olson and Bob Germanero were assigned
You were there.
as extra people from the Board of Ed. The library had two members of the library board assigned to us as voting members, appointed by the Board of Selectmen. The police station building had somebody assigned to us from the police department. The training range had Bob Durkin assigned to us before he retired as part of that project. So I haven't yet asked Rachel if she wants to have somebody be on this with us as part of the either Park and Rec Commission. They have to be a Bethel resident,
Yeah.
so Rachel can't do it, but
Yeah, I mean, logically,
it
I would
would-
think you would, obviously it's her department, I would think she would get the proper people
Yes.
involved. Because I know some of those park and rec commissioners are pretty involved in.
yes,
what-
and
yeah.
we'll check with her to see
Yeah.
about that, because she also, Rachel, very much says, yes, Park and Rec uses those spaces a lot, but it's not just our space, it's the town space. What does the town need? I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, no, because it's an emergency shelter,
Yeah.
probably. stuff like
That's
that.
why we
That
need to have
caged
some.
area has to stay.
That's why we
There's
need to
something
have
for it.
some bathrooms, showers and toilets in there. Is
Yeah.
That, the shelter thing. And there's no specific, I was trying to get out of the building official how many toilets, showers and sinks we needed, and he was non-committal, so.
The fire marshal said the cage, something along the lines of the cage has to stay, right?
Well,
Or a
yeah,
cleset or something to keep
he
all the
needs something to
emergency,
keep that equipment, but it doesn't have to be right where it is. That was
Yeah.
something that was
Yeah.
added, because they were giving him so much stuff during COVID, they just didn't. And a lot of it they can go through and get rid of because they're not using it.
Yeah.
They're kind of
but-
thousands
yeah.
of masks.
The cages,
I
you
know.
know, shot to see how big it was.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
So, yeah, so that's the process that, we need to come up with a general idea of what the town agrees is, this is how we want to use that space. And then we're gonna need complete construction drawings, and then this Gordian group can go through that and say, this is how much it's gonna cost. And they actually have, I have an old, I can't screen share, we'll lose the sound, but for the GP room lobby, they gave us line item by line item, kind of in the order that you would look at, well, like RS Means or the old Sweets catalogs had, you'd start with general conditions and then you go through the whole structural, thermal and moisture, blah, all of those. They go through all those categories, they assign an amount to it based on the plans and what they take off the state contract list, and they come up with an amount. So it's kind of cool. It's a good way to do things. I don't think we could have done the schools that way, way too big. I don't think we could have done the police
So
station that
does
way.
Rachel go to the board of selectmen and the board of finance first to say, or does she have to give us some sort of preliminary, we think it's gonna be $9, you need,
Well, so
you
again,
need
like,
to get it approved before you start spending money on
Right.
designs and everything.
so if Gordian and BMP can come up with an amount that it's going to cost this much to come up with construction drawings, so shovel-ready drawings. Then Rachel and us would go to the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen and say, this is how much we need. And they would approve it or say no.
Then they find money.
And then.
What's a
they have
tough
to find
budget
the
year
money.
this year, right? That's my
Yeah.
understanding.
Yes, I know, I want to get out of the budget process for, and then with this process, it would be, we're using those construction drawings to come up with a final amount of what it's gonna cost to do the work. Then you have to go, if it's over $1 million, you go to referendum. If it's under
Yeah.
$1 million, you do a special town meeting.
And can't the selectmen approve it under a threshold too, or,
No, it has to go to a special town.
okay,
meeting,
under
$1
$1 million,
million.
okay, yeah.
Under a small amount, 50,000, they
Oh,
can
you can do
approve.
it.
Yeah, if you get like a couple of quotes or whatever,
Okay.
they can approve under 50,000.
Which was just bumped up. from
So,
30,000.
yeah, that's where we are with that. And
The town meetings, like, you're all getting a room, yeah.
it's not a good time to go ask them for money right now because they're in the middle of their budget.
No, it doesn't look at some of the numbers that I was reading.
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, we did get some of the ARPA money to use, and they had earmarked some ARPA money to do this, but then we were kind of in that, do the locker rooms. We did the GP room lobby. Now it's time to do the locker rooms because that was part of a whole project. And then it was like, well, while we're at it, why don't we do this? While we're at it, why don't we do that?
Yeah.
We got to get
You
plans.
have a certain amount of
first.
time to spend it too,
Yes.
right? I think you have to use.
Well, the ARPA's done.
Yeah,
I mean, they had to, whatever
that's
money
why they
was-
were doing carpets and stuff, I think, right?
they had to spend the funds by, I think, the end of last year. And that was when back then, even that long ago, we applied for a steep grant, didn't get it because usually when you apply for a steep grant, you have matching funds. We don't have approved matching funds yet. You kind of have to have a plan. And we had, like I said, started looking at changing what we had. Instead of these giant locker rooms. This is the old plan. It's really small, so when I look at it,
I mean, logically, it makes sense. I mean,
we came up with something a lot
Yeah.
smaller, because those big locker rooms, the side where the gym lobby is, where all the window wall and facing the front of the building is this huge locker room that's full of shelves. It used to be where the library stored their books before they did book sales. Now it's all park and rec stuff. The other side, which was almost empty, now has gotten filled. They're just putting stuff in there.
yeah. Plus they run, like before school or something, you know what I'm saying? So.
Well,
like,
so they need storage, the preschool program. It's actually not a before school, but just like a preschool program.
Yeah.
They need storage. They need some space. Park and Rec needs storage. The other, I don't know, the lacrosse and soccer or whatever, they all need storage.
Yeah,
And there's some that happens upstairs above the GP room lobby. There's a whole space up there. We'll go see it sometime. But
I know, I feel bad I missed the tour of the locker room.
we can do that another time.
I'll have to stop by there one day. No.
Yeah, get Rachel to take you in there.
Yeah, there you
But literally, I think we could get away with half the space for locker rooms and the whole other side to be, like I said, this big. And if it's big enough, put a divider down the middle that moves.
go. Yeah, there you go.
Because that's it. The town, I think both Park and Rec and the Senior Center have seen a shift in what people look for in programming. And if the spaces are like not filling that in, like, the tennis courts are getting redone. They're putting some pickleball lines on.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
people
yeah.
want to play pickleball. So keeping up with what people are looking to do, if you're putting out programs that people are not going to come to and they want this, they used to do gymnastics and dance up on the stage. Now everybody wants to do theater. Nobody wants to do gymnastics anymore. The theater program is huge. So they have to keep adjusting as to what kind of spaces are needed. This is unique that we have this space.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge
Other
building
towns
for-
come
yeah,
here for meetings. We have meetings here. So when I was registrar, we had other registrars of voters come and we do classes and they'd be like, wow, look at what you
Like
have.
you have a
And
gymnasium
we're like,
with it.
but other towns don't have it. They have these tiny little
We're gonna
spaces.
put a pool there.
Yeah, I know,
I
right?
remember.
How many years ago was that? All right, well anyways, that's what's going on with the locker room. So hopefully, as we start getting through this process of BMP and Gordian coming up with some figures, there was the possibility of applying for another steep grant. And it was my understanding we weren't going to, because we don't want to be the town that keeps applying for grants when we don't have all the information in place. But I think Dan was gonna try to put something in. He's working, Janice, however you say her last name, Chris Jenick from, Economic Development has been doing some of the grant work. And we did put, like I said, put one together a year and a half ago, didn't get it. But it's the type of project that like a Steve, whatever, I can't remember what it stands for, but Steve would jump right into if we had the funds approved, but we don't. So that's where we are with that. We don't need to go on and on and on. But
It's an
this
interesting
was,
project, though. Thank you
but
for
this
having
is
me.
also all the questions that each of you asked, because you're new, are helpful for you to know how things go as we progress along. You know, we as a commission, as I said, don't have like legal authority unless we're given something by the Board of Selectmen, but still anything, you know, that's approved has to be signed, brought to the first selectman, signed on behalf of the town. We can't sign stuff on behalf of the town. So, which is fine. I don't think I would want it. So if you have any other just even general questions about what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to keep things going, etc., go ahead. Otherwise, somebody will have to take John Mente's place and do a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There you go.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Go home and watch the UConn game. Aye. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
What's it?
Thanks, everybody.
If we don't need a meeting in 2 weeks, I'll let you
Oh,
know,
you guys
but
still.
I'll keep
Oh,
in
you guys
touch.
cash guys.
Thanks for coming.